Let's get it started tonight in Dayton, Ohio. The first four, the final four. Actually, it can't be called the final four. The first four gets underway in Dayton, Teddy. Looking forward to it. One matchup here, kind of interesting tonight, but another matchup looks more CIT bound than actual NCAA bound, Teddy.
Yeah, certainly when it comes to Fairleigh Dickinson versus Prairie View, and we'll break it down a little bit later in the show, but it's not exactly a marquee matchup by NCAA tournament standards, even as the lid lifter for the tournament. And look, let me say this. I'm not a huge fan of the field growing from 64 to 68. It's been 9 years now, but you know what's happened since this change by the NCAA has occurred? Number one, we get good stuff to watch Tuesday night and Wednesday night. Number two, you don't have teams that deserve it getting snubbed. And that's what makes me like a game between Prairie View and Fairleigh Dickinson tonight, although Temple Belmont's the one we're all looking forward to.
No, it should be a lot of fun. I made a couple jokes here on Twitter today. You know, this is the time that we refire up, and it's 6:40 p.m. Eastern time, 3:40 out on the Pacific. Yo, let's turn on the game. What channel is this game on, Teddy? Oh, yeah, True TV, the one time of the year that we actually change the dials to True TV. But getting into a betting perspective here in the tournament itself, Teddy, interesting thing that always pops up year after year after year. Now that betting obviously being turned on in more states seemingly by every week, every month, you know, getting involved in this. Talk about just a little bit, Teddy, before we get the show rolling, betting in your brackets as opposed to betting like a game-by-game basis, because they're two completely different approaches that you want to take. And the one most important thing that I always keep involved is just because you have them in your bracket in the second round, don't let that sway your opinion on that second round game with the spread.
Yeah, that's key, because brackets are something you're going to do before the tournament starts. Once the tournament starts, you take your bracket and you forget about it until the Final Four and you say, oh, wow, I might win something. Maybe I got a hedge. Literally, that's what you do with brackets. If you want to bet seriously, fill out as many as you want. Fill out 100, fill out 1,000. I don't care. But don't think for a minute that your brackets have anything to do with your betting strategy throughout the course of the tournament. And it's okay if you had an opinion prior to the tournament about what could happen for a second round matchup. And you want to use that opinion, that's great, but it's okay to change your opinion. And for God's sakes, point spreads matter, seeding doesn't. Let me say it again. Point spreads matter, seeding doesn't. Whether you're filling out brackets or whether you're betting, keep that one mantra in mind. It is, in my mind, the biggest difference between sharps and squares at this time of the year. Sharps don't care about where you're seated. They only care about what the point spread is.
Yeah, it should be a good one there. Two good coaches, Fran Dunphy and Rick Berg, going to tee it up tonight in the late game there in Dayton. But also one of the more interesting ones that you're already seeing a look ahead, Teddy, because Maryland, one of the youngest teams in the tournament, they're going to match up against either Belmont or Temple. And the next game should be a tough one, maybe an upset-ready game. NBA played last night, but Westbrook did not play last night for the Thunder. And boy, did they miss him last night as the Heat go and handle the Thunder and take the ticket. But the one thing that we talked about yesterday on the show, Teddy, with Watch What You Bet, how good the Spurs are at home as an underdog. They improved with yet another victory over the Warriors last night.
Shh, we probably shouldn't have talked about it. Spurs have been a nice little moneymaker for me. Cashed another ticket last night. 8-1 as a home dog this season with pretty much a wire-to-wire win over Golden State. And again, it wasn't a great spot for the Warriors last night, coming off two huge road victories to open the road trip. But nonetheless, San Antonio jumped out to the lead. They withstood the challenge, and they came away looking like a dangerous team come the postseason. We haven't been talking about the Spurs as legit contenders in the West. Maybe we're talking about them a little bit more now after they knocked off the Warriors last night.
Yeah, an interesting night in the NBA. It's a shame because we'll talk a little bit later here. If you bought a ticket, maybe Teddy, you surprised your son on a Christmas day, said, look, I got you Bucks, Lakers tickets, LeBron, Giannis. Looking at the latest updates there, neither one of those is going to play, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Teddy, let's talk about something of the free roll variety. We're talking about the NCAA tournament. We're talking about betting games and winning, brackets and everything. But don't forget about SBRodds.com and Sportsbook Review coming together with Bovada Monday night for a free roll. $1,000 in cash prizes for the tournament. But if you take down and be the champion in this tournament, Teddy, you're headed to the Final Four. And that includes 2 tickets to the Final Four, 2 round-trip flights, and also 4 nights in the hotel. Spending money, taxis, and food. It's free. It's me, Teddy. What a great deal.
I mean, look, I've never been to the Final Four. I haven't. And from a betting standpoint, I'd much rather go to a Final Four than to go somewhere for like the first round, when there's all these games going on. Final Four, you can go and enjoy. and make a couple of bets, but it's not insane. You get it for free. Why not check it out? Obviously, sportsbookreview.com. Keep the lights on for these guys. They're paying our bills.
Also, Teddy, the best part about that is it's better to go to the Final Four when you're not paying for it. And we're giving you the opportunity to that, so it should be a fun tournament there. Major League Baseball, first look. Teddy, you're going to have to be up pretty early tomorrow morning. We'll get to that a little bit later. But let's first take a look at those Chicago Cubs, 95-68 in 2018. Currently sitting, Teddy, at a 14-1 ticket to win the World Series. Team total set at 88. It's going to be a tough division because there's some other teams lurking in that division, like the Cardinals, like the Brewers, that are going to be good as well. Same old anchors in the infield, Rizzo and Bryant, but Javi Baez with 290 last year with 34 bombs, going to help them out. Outfielder with the speedy Albert Almora Jr. out there. Schwarber looking for a little bit of a bounce back. Veteran pitching staff, a little bit injured last year coming back. They have the makings of a really good baseball team, Teddy, and that's a really good division.
Sure. I mean, again, they won 95 games last year. They're being lined as an 88-win team this year. And at 95 wins last year, the Cubs were basically break even. No profit for their backers, despite being a 95-win team. The thing that worries me most about the Cubs, well, there's a couple things that worry me about the Cubs, but certainly it's a lineup that all of a sudden, there's a little bit of age in Chicago. We talk about, young and up-and-comers. Now we got a couple guys coming off disappointing season. You got Baez coming off a career year. And it's not the young up-and-comers anymore. The pitching staff is old. Lester's old. Hamels is old. Darvish is old. Quintana was not a 7-inning dominant hurler last year, any stretch of the imagination. So I worry a little bit about that pitching staff, and I worry about the ability for bettors to make a consistent profit with the Cubs, because when it comes to public teams, Chicago's as good as it gets at the MLB level. You know that with that pitching staff, there's going to be a tax associated with the Cubs on a game-in, game-out basis. I don't think they'll be profitable again this year, even if they come close to winning 100 games and fly over their season win total.